Welcome back to another episode of Flip the Script with Vic. I'm so excited to be here. Every time I do these intros, I feel like I want to be like, this is my favorite person ever! Because each woman has changed my life in such meaningful ways. And the woman I have on today, Bijou Feeney, has truly changed my life with just her energy and her magnetism, and has been such a permission slip for me to be my full fuck yes self. So I'm so excited to have her on the podcast to share. Oh, Bijou, you're my fairy godmother. That's what I tell everyone.
Yes, that my life complete. That's what I've always wanted to be.
Yeah, you really are. But beyond my fairy godmother, you're also a coach and a wonderful human. I'll let you introduce yourself in your own words.
Ooh, okay. That's fun. I haven't had to do that in a while. I am having a lot of fun with life right now. And I'm going down rabbit holes like I never have before. And that's saying a lot because I mean, it's been a lifetime of going down rabbit holes. But yeah, I think that life is so interesting and there are so many incredible facets and so many fun ways to play with people and to help people and to heal people and expand with people. One of the majority or the major ways that I do is with like plant medicine facilitation, but also like sex, love, and relationship work and money work, because those are always the vessels that carry all those wounds and programs and those things that if we do optimize our life is so much better. So yeah, I just get to like have really cool conversations with people and do really cool in-person retreats, and I get to travel and learn and explore, and it's fully in alignment with like my chart for sure. So I
I
feel
love
like
that.
I'm in a good place because naturally I've gravitated towards that. But then when you get to like see your human design and astrology chart, you're like, oh, I think I'm on the right track.
I think I am doing the right thing. Wait a second. Every single Sagittarius meme I ever find, I send to Bijou because she is such a Sag to a T. But I need that fire. My chart, and this is something actually I learned from Bijou, like I don't have a lot of fire in my chart. So it's really nice because you bring out that playful side of me, that fiery side of me that I think society has really said, you're too much, or don't do that, or don't wear that. And I remember when we first became friends, like you really were just the permission slip to like wear whatever I wanted and to be more kind of in that maiden energy. But I know that's not the energy that you've always been in. And I think like the trajectory of your life and the transformation of your life is such a good allegory for like what you bring people through, because we were talking before we hit record, like Bijou used to be very different than Bijou is today. I don't know that I would have been friends with the other
Oh
version of
no,
Bijou.
I wouldn't be friends with myself from the past.
But I love that, like, very candidly, you can say that. And you're like, I
Yeah.
love her, that's great, but she's dead and buried things.
Yeah, I mean, I lay roses at her feet because she was just a product of her environment, which I think a lot of us are, especially growing up, where I love the area that I grew up in. It was very, I mean, it has its beautiful sides for sure, but it also has its shadow, like everyone and everywhere does. And there was a lot of like avoidance, a lot of alcoholism, a lot of racism, a lot of just like,
Judgment.
I mean, you can see that all over the United States. But I didn't know any better. You don't know what you don't know, and you kind of model and mirror the people around you. And I kind of took on, I think, a lot of fear, which was uh, kind of sent me into looking for lessons or looking for teachings or looking for answers that made me feel like I was in control of life, which I think a lot of my choices, you can now I can see, right? Hindsight's 2020. You can see that I was like, didn't want to go to hell and I didn't want to be on the wrong side of the fence and I didn't want to like ruffle the feathers, and I didn't want to like break the rules, and I wanted to be the good girl, and it just it just wears on you.
Well, because we're told that's the exact thing we're told, right? Like, be the good girl, go to school, get the good grades, like, follow this very linear path, and then you will get this outside success. You will get this outside happiness. But first of all, females aren't linear, we're secular. And actually, that thing of success outside of us, doesn't fulfill us inwardly. And I know you've had different versions of success throughout your life, but what is success to you now? And how is that different maybe than what it was before?
Oh gosh, success before was all about external validation and like, do I seem successful enough? Do I have enough accolades? Like, do can I present myself in a way that makes people think that I have my life together? And that is fully a recipe to not be like fulfilled. And so like that was wild for me to try that hard and to hustle that hard and to work that hard to then get to a place where uh yeah, I had that validation, or I had like that facade, and then it not feel like this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be feeling right now. Like, it was really interesting. A very big ego death, a very big just shift in my perception. And now I would say it's a lot more like, how do I feel inside? Do I have freedom? Do I have a sense of safety? Do I have a sense of community? Do I get to adventure and play? And like, that's gonna, I mean, those are my values now. So if it doesn't align with those, I kind of I don't have a taste for it right now, at least in this point in my life.
Yeah, which again, I think shows the transformation and the healing journey that you have been on to be able to so authentically embody those values that they're so you and that they're threaded throughout your business, your life, your everything. Because kind of what we were saying earlier too is like that spiritual awakening or that energy doesn't just infiltrate you. It's your business, it's your life, it's your goals, it's your purpose, it's all the things. And the sooner that we can realize they're so tied together, the better off we're going to be, because we're going to see then that like, oh, this is a lesson that's showing us something over here. And coming back to kind of that success and the trajectory of the business, like we've talked a lot of business on your podcast because we have Queen of Hearts together. But I think for me, the biggest eye opener over the last couple of years has been pleasure and how that relates to literally everything. And I know that that is like at the core of a lot of what you do. How did you get to that place? As I think about Bijou, and you can share more of your story, but thinking of the younger version of Bijou that was so full of fear and did things so straight-laced. And then you have kind of masculine business Bijou that maybe was doing all the outside successful things, but wasn't feeling good in her body. And now you have the embodied version of Bijou. Was pleasure a thing that helped like thread you through those transformations, or did pleasure come later?
I just couldn't help but like look at my parts while you were saying that. And for people who are interested or have heard of parts work, I think that's what astrology is to me. It's just naming my parts. And um, so like I have a Sag stellium. So like I have Sag and Mercury. I talk like a Sag. I show up like a Sag. But I mean, I have Capricorn rising, so I'm very interested in business. And then it was just like meeting all of my parts and refining all of my parts. But one of my main parts is Scorpio Venus, which is uh, can be a big, it can be a block, it can be a journey, right, to understand all of that. And I definitely had early onset sexuality. I don't know how typical it is for different people, but definitely feelings and thoughts at a young age, but like all kinds of thoughts and feelings. And I think that that's what was so interesting is like my parents actually did not try to mold me or conform me at all. They were actually quite hippie.
It's the
And
opposite. They were like, go do whatever you want.
yeah, and also, like, I think that's why I searched out the wound to help me transmute like the lesson that I came to do. And so I chose to be super religious. And I think that one, because if you look at my chart, I'm meant to be incredibly spiritual. And so like much like people who have been healers for many lifetimes will opt into being a nurse, even though that's probably not in alignment with their soul. It's just that their healer was like, well, what avenues can I be a healer in? So I'm going to pick this one. It was like, I didn't know about any other options other than like what was prevalent where I lived, which was Catholicism. And I loved Catholicism, but there's a lot of shame around sexuality and the feminine. And so I think that I picked it on purpose to, because I was afraid of my power. And I thought that I was alone in my thoughts and feelings because they weren't expressed anywhere around me. And, um, and so it was a long journey. But it was actually, it kind of felt insane to be honest, because my thoughts and feelings were very much focused on that. You could see it in all of my projects. So like my boutique was Golden Bones. It was very edgy, very sexy. Like it was Scorpio Venus embodied. And then like my video production company was Velvet Cartel. It was like we had darker, sexier events. Like our branding was a little bit like edgy. And so it was like that I was letting that live through my creations, but I wasn't figuring it out within myself.
Mm.
And so like I was super numb and I was super blocked, even though I had all of this like this world behind the block that was like really interesting and deep and like intense. And it was this kind of terrible feeling, to be honest, that I could like access like glimpses of it, but I was like always hitting a wall when I tried to enter that realm. And so that's what sent me on my own journey to figure out what was going on there. And then obviously you realize, wow, every woman on some in some way, shape, or form, just because we haven't had anyone modeling anything to us, we have this immense power or interest or passion or spark within us that we're like, I don't know what to do with this. So I'm just going to put it out, or I'm just going to like put it away, or I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist,
I'm gonna give
or
it to someone else.
yeah, I'm going to let it come out sideways in different ways. And so that's when I was like, oh, okay. So like if people figure out their purpose and pleasure and power, they will be happier. And that was just a product of me being like, oh, ever since I have come to terms with those things, I'm in a much more empowered and safe and happy place. And no one can give that to you. Like I searched for other people to give those things to me, trust me. But it's like you have to create that. And then anything on top of that is just like cherry on top. But it's pretty gnarly. It's like not easy, and more it's coming out, and it's a huge part of the collective now. Not as big as it could be or should be, but definitely it's coming out. And I think that it's because women are sick of all of this like beauty and power that they don't know what to do with, or they feel shamed in having. And so then they're like, okay, let's figure this out together.
Or two, I feel like we've been so taught to do it in a way for the male gaze
Oh
instead
yeah.
of taught to do it in a way that makes us feel really good and empowered. Because I feel like, the second you start to think of a pleasure practice, or even, I was thinking of a pleasure practice, it didn't, I don't know, it kind of scared me, even though same as you, like I probably at a very young age, younger than most, like got my period, started having, like sexual thoughts. My mom handed me a book. We never really talked about it. Was definitely masturbating at a young age. Wouldn't have called it that. I didn't have the name for it. But then continued to give that away to everyone else instead of realizing that like that's power, that's energy you're creating in your own body that you can then use for things out in the world. And I think that's been such a game changer for me over the last couple of years, is to like imbue that energy into my work and what I'm putting out into the world, and like owning it and realizing that, like, I don't know, I think it was actually you that had told me this, that when we were talking about the levels of sexuality, that it was like, actually sexuality doesn't come first, it's sensuality. And that like they're two different things. So I would love for you to speak on that more, because I remember a light bulb went off when we chatted about that, because I was like, oh, you're right. Women don't even feel safe to be sexual until they understand what it is to be sensual in their own bodies. And like there's a big difference.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was the thing. I think that's why all of my blocks were a gift, because I had to work through them in order to even understand how to help other people with them. And I would say most women that come and talk to me, they're 1000% performative, in the sense that the only pleasure that they extract from an experience with their partner is if their partner seemed satisfied.
For real, my whole body just went like, I literally do not have a sexual encounter these days unless I come first.
Yeah, no, it's very much, and then and people wonder why libido is so low and sex drive is so low.
Yeah.
It's because no one owns their pleasure. No one knows how to get to their pleasure. No one knows how to do it by themselves first. No one knows how to ask their partner for it.
The ask is, oh, that vulnerable piece is can be really sticky for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and so like, yeah, I would say that it was so interesting in so many conversations that I had with either clients or friends. It was like, even definitions of words we are not like in alignment with, and understanding, what does it mean to be sensual, what does it mean to be sexual. And sensuality is a very big place to start, because like we're not soft with our bodies, we're not, we don't get into like sensual movements or clothing or even like thoughts, because we feel uncomfortable. It's best if we are caregivers, and
Yeah.
if we are,
Nurturers.
yeah, and if we're in our masculine, like everyone models that, and the few and far between that are incredibly sensual, I noticed, become superstars like Marilyn Monroe. And it's like, but we all assume, oh, that's just her, right? Like
Yeah.
that's them. That's not the common folk. That's not who I am as a mother, or I am as an entrepreneur, or I am as a daughter or a wife, right? And it's like, no, sensuality and eros are everything in life. They come from everything. Like everything comes from that. And so that's why I feel like we're so lost, is we don't even understand that concept within our own selves. I know I didn't
Oh no,
until
I didn't.
yeah, I know. When I went into like that training, I mean, it was, wow, that was wild. Like, to find my blocks, to find my narratives, to find my programs and my wounds, and to find not only ones from this lifetime, but past lifetimes, and then to understand where I was not guided and why we're not guided there. Uh, I mean, you go through all of the grief, all of the rage, all of the, I mean, dissociation. You go through the whole spectrum of emotions around that. And then you finally get to the point where you're like, fuck it, no more. Not in my life, and not in her life, and not in her life. Like, that can't happen anymore.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's even changed just the way that I have interactions or talk to my husband in particular, but it's boundaries to me. It really is. It's having the respect for myself to have boundaries with others, and then be able to be soft with myself is the word that's coming through, but I don't even know that it's necessarily soft. It's more inquisitive, maybe exploratory, and realizing that that curiosity is a good thing, that that curiosity is not a bad thing, because I think I've got two kids, been married almost 10 years now. Like you have to continue finding your own pleasure so that you can then bring it to your partner. You can bring it to whomever and say, this is how I want to be loved. Because unless, to your point, you know how to do that, I'm always going to be chasing a high outside of myself. I'm always going to be looking at someone else to make me feel better. And I have come to realize that like sometimes that energetic shift is something that I can create within myself by taking a moment to be in my body and feel my body and maybe feel the pleasure coursing through my body or not, right? Like whatever it is. But I would love to talk a little bit more about the kind of sex magic aspect because we speak to it a bit in Queen of Hearts, our business mastermind, but I feel like there is something missing in today's society with women and our sexuality and our power because to your point, the women that actually show it are blowing up. But then others seem to think like, oh, I don't have that. That's not a part of who I am. And I want more of us to be liberated in realizing that actually it's not dirty and that it's really, I mean, I keep saying powerful, but it is. It's really powerful to own your sexuality and realize it's almost like ISIS. I feel like ISIS like can takes over my body sometimes, and I feel like every woman should experience that. Like, take no shit, I'm fucking amazing energy that can come after a pleasure practice.
Oh my God, yeah. I remember the month that everything shifted for me. And it was the universe gifted me talking to four different women that were anywhere from 65 to 77, I think the oldest one. And all of them admitted to me that they had never, in their mind, they didn't know if they had ever had an orgasm.
That is wild to me.
Yeah, and also they all, well, all three out of the four, one of them's partner had already passed. Were still married, anywhere from 30 to 40 years. Some one of them, I think, 50 years, and they had stopped having sex in their relationship, like 20 or 30 years before.
No, thank you.
And
No, thank you.
and
I'd be
and
divorced.
that's like that nothing to do like it's not them. It's also their generation. They saw their bodies as like something for their husband, something to give birth. And then once the birth happened, it's like so much of your hormones change, so much of your life changes that like sex just like moves off to the side, right? And also if you don't claim your pleasure, you're not going to be maintaining it. You're not going to like keep it as a priority. And that's where you really deepen into mother, which is like only pouring out and not understanding the other aspects of yourself. And I think that that's like my biggest where my biggest mission was birthed, which was we cannot access the power to make the changes in our communities if we don't feel safe in our bodies when we hold pleasure and prosperity. Like most women, if you can't hold the idea of you rich and powerful and sexy in your mind and make your body get turned on by that idea, you'll never have it and you'll never be able to do all of the good that you could do with that, right? And it's because it hasn't been modeled to us in a healthy way. It's like it gets it gets siphoned. It's like even Marilyn Monroe, right? She like died early because she couldn't handle all of that attention. And it's like the male gaze. It's like you're not safe if you're sexy. You're not safe, or people won't really like you, or people will hate
Or
you
you're
if
asking
you're too,
for it, or
yeah, if you're too big and you're too bold and you're too rich and you're too whatever, right? And so it's like the narrative is that's for the men. And I know that like women don't want to admit that, but when I talk to them, it is buried in their programming, and it's like we are very deeply uncomfortable with the thought of ourselves at our max.
hmm. Oh, absolutely. I realized the other day that even in meditation, when I'm trying to visualize some of these things, I wasn't visualizing my face. And I
Hmm.
had to stop for a second and I was like, why can't I literally cannot see my face on this dream that I have that I want to bring to fruition? And it blew my mind. And it was because I didn't think I deserved it or I didn't think that I could have it. So taking the time to even picture my face doing the speaking, presenting the book, whatever it was I wanted, I feel like had a cellular change in my body because up until that point, I couldn't hold that frequency. I couldn't hold that image in my brain for some reason because it's been, programmed or buried deep within. And I've been on this healing journey for a long time. So to have that big, like, aha, I was like, oh shit, if I can hardly see myself, like, what are other women seeing?
Oh my God, I can even in like my my like sexual fantasies, I wouldn't see myself.
No, I always, okay, and I don't know if this is because my most recent past life, I was a man. I can very clearly like visualize myself as a man in sexual fantasies, like
Mhm.
weirdly so. But I'm never female. No, I'm female occasionally, I guess, but I'm a male a lot of the time, which is kind
Yeah,
of
I mean,
weird.
I think that's what's so confusing to people if they don't understand like Akashic records or they don't understand past lives. They're like, what? Like like thoughts in seeing their different identities or feeling the different past selves feelings or wounds. Like what? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's like that's why I love business and love so much because they are the vehicles that are used to get us to find our wounds and find out who we are and get to our power. And I mean, saying we've been doing this a long time is like, buckle up because it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime of work that we're doing. And it's like the whole part is the point of this is the journey. And it is like, oh, that's in there. Oh, that's like what's going on. And yeah, it's the slowing down and having presence with yourself and with your body and with your subconscious that helps these like blocks and wounds or narratives come to the surface and then actually doing some of the work like movement work, body work, and it's asking for the space to do it. I don't know how many times that I mean, I definitely had to hold firm boundaries around time for my self pleasure, time for my journaling, time for my meditation. And I know I chose not to have kids, so it was easier for me. But a lot of people that I talk to are like, I could never ask for the time and the space to do that self inquiry, to do that
I've
know thyself work.
got
And it's
to.
like, well, it's really hard to do healing and expanding work if you don't know yourself, right? And so that's why I think sometimes it is like easier to do with a mirror or to do with a guide or to do with a group or a friend because sometimes you feel lost when you try to do it by yourself.
Because you're kind of in, I call it the fertile void, even though it feels fucking terrible at the time. It's ripe for anything being possible. Anything can happen when you're in that kind of like goo phase of the transformation. But I'm with you. I absolutely believe that it's easier in groups and it's much easier with community and with sisterhood. And I think, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but that this group that is kind of awakening right now on the planet, I feel like all of us women are trying to release those generational curses of blaming other women, of telling on other women, of the years of the witch trials and of the patriarchy really trying to push us against each other. I think there's so much room at the table for all of us and our unique magic and our unique medicine. And I think the more that we continue to just talk about the things that we're going through, I always hope to normalize it because there's so many times in a vacuum on this healing journey that you're like, am I the only one? Am I alone? Like, what's happening? And like, I know we're in the midst of eclipse season right now, and this will come out as part of eclipse season. I'm wondering if there's anything on your heart today, Bij, that you want to share with folks just about whatever they're moving through, or maybe helping them navigate what can feel like a really tumultuous time on the planet right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think like many's brains, mine always is searching for patterns. And what I realized in my the gift of getting to talk to older women is that it was a whole generation of women that kept quiet, that were gaslit. And whenever they were going through their awakening, which happens when you get into wild woman phase of your life, their bodies were changing and their desires were changing, and they were getting pissed about how imbalanced everything was energetically. And they were programmed to stay quiet. And when everything started flaring because their body was like, oh, hell no, we're not staying quiet. They went to the doctor, and the doctors were like, you're fine.
Yeah, there's
And
nothing wrong with you.
yeah, and it's like, I think that we owe it to them to really, because whatever they did on some level, like made some space for us to be a lot more outspoken and to be a lot more aware. And I think that us doing this work, that's why they say it heals backwards and forwards. And it is like for every orgasm you have now, you're like sharing that energy with like the women that never know if they ever have had one. Like that's how I like to think of it,
I
at least.
love that. I'm gonna think about that forevermore. Next time I'm like, I'm sending this to you. Sending this to you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. This is for you, Susan. But it is like once you start seeing your work, your business, your gifts, your pleasure as a channel to bring more love into the world, like to bring love into this earth plane, you understand that it's like not selfish, it's not just for you, it's actually like good for the collective because like we are a collective consciousness. So the more that you heal, the more that you understand, the more that you detach, the more that you open to love and pleasure, everyone around you benefits. And so, I mean, these last 2 years of the years that are the 2 years that are coming, we signed up for this and it's fucking gnarly. It's not
Our
we
souls, man.
we especially if you picked certain placements, you came to tango and that's like I don't know why we're all shocked here because like we kind of picked this and we can get through this, but it is from slowing down. It is from resting. It is from creating instead of consuming. It is from connecting to your body. It is from having hard conversations with people. It is connecting with like minded women to get permission slips or reflections or cheerleading. It is like you're not supposed to be in a vacuum. And I think that that's why so much of our society feels like, could you imagine you don't know anything about what's going on, but you can feel the energy as a woman? Like
That
that's
would be
some,
insane.
yeah, that's some women's experience in the world right now, like especially in America, where they can feel it because they
Intuitive, because we all
are
are.
the lightning rod. And so they're like, could you imagine going through eclipse season and not knowing what the hell you're feeling and
No,
not
I would just
knowing
think it
what's
was
going
fucking
on?
crazy. Like, I
Yeah.
already think I'm fucking crazy and I know what's
Well,
happening.
that's why people go and meditate, right? And it's
Yeah.
like eclipse season happens every 6 months and it's for a reason. And it is a huge, like, we're at Earth School, people. It's like freaking finals time. Like, it is intense. And we signed up for a certain curriculum and we're not supposed to be doing it alone. And society has set it up where these nuclear families are just like going through their routine all of the time and isolating everyone so intensely. Like men are not friends with any other men. Women are like in these like surface level little groups every now and again, but they're not like going deep with each other because of lack of intimacy and vulnerability because we weren't modeled that. And we have to keep this facade that everything's okay on Instagram. And it's like a big fucking joke and disaster, right? And
Dumpster
so
fire.
dumpster fire. But it's not sustainable. And so um you can trust that the universe like brings you certain books or certain podcasts or certain people or certain like posts on Instagram that are trying to speak to you and trying to breadcrumb you towards like finding your people, finding your lessons, finding the things that want to be healed or expanded or experienced. And I think that as long as you try to have an open mind and open eyes, and you have some sense of optimism, even if you have to borrow it from someone who is eternally optimistic, like someone who has a Sag stellium, but it is like buckle up because that this is especially our country's dark night of the soul. And if you've already been through one yourself, you know what that means.
It's gonna
And
get bad before it gets
yeah,
good.
yeah, oh yeah, you gotta go all the way to the bottom. You gotta touch the bottom. Everybody in America's gotta touch the bottom before we can come back up. So you can only imagine,
Yeah,
right? It
yeah.
is like,
And there might be a little deeper bottom for some people than others.
yeah, I mean, or they take a little longer because they go kicking and screaming. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's, I think once you see it from that perspective, it's like, oh, okay, like, I understand alchemy. I understand what's going on here, and I'm just going to support myself to be a better support and to be in service to others. And other people should be doing that for themselves as well. Just because, yeah, this is for our betterment. This is for our collective soul's evolution. And it's not going to be easy, but that's the point.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good reminder because so many of us are living to escape because we want it to be easy. But Earth School is not meant to be easy. We're actually meant to experience that full spectrum of emotions. And that's why it feels so sweet when something is good. It's because you have experienced the bad. And I was just thinking as you were talking of those, you know, the little breadcrumbs, when you're out of alignment, the universe starts by sending little pebbles, but then it's going to send you a big fucking boulder if you're not listening. And like, that's what happened to me with my miscarriage. Like, I was not listening. And anyone listening to this podcast, I want you to maybe listen up and see where the universe is sending you those little breadcrumbs and you're not listening, because I don't want you to have a boulder sent your way that is going to completely upend things. Even though life is happening for you and not to you, it's upending for a reason. It's upending because it's no longer in alignment, but it just makes it a lot less comfortable when you go kicking and screaming or when you don't listen, because we have free will. We have free will on earth. And even though we have signed up for everything right now, we can choose to ignore it. We could choose to not do it for our own detriment and for the collective detriment, but we have free will. It's always a choice. And I do believe that you have to have a bit of that relentless optimism. You have to choose every single day yourself and the life of your dreams and the things that you want. And it's not easy. It's really not. And I'm speaking to myself right now as I'm in the middle of eclipse season, reminding it's worth it, Victoria. It's worth it. But I just love you so much, Bij. Where can people get to know you, get to work with you? I think we're going to do a podcast swap soon. So you're going to hear more about all of the psychedelics and plant medicine that Bijou is involved in on her podcast. And I'll be sharing my story over there soon. But yeah, where can we get the deets on you, share more about your podcast, all the good stuff?
Well, before that, you said something that I really feel like a call to touch on is I think this is like a big problem in the spiritual community and in our world, which is we have innovated and optimized towards comfort in such a big way. And the love and light community, which is like very Pollyanna, very much not doing shadow work, very much not looking at themselves in the mirror. Like one of the biggest lessons that I learned was like your ability to grow and expand is like equally in alignment with like your ability to be like in discomfort and to be uncomfortable by looking at your own shit or by like dealing with the things that feel painful, right? Like you cannot bypass them and actually get somewhere big good. And it's like the whole like pain and pleasure matrix or like axis, which is the amount of pleasure you feel is directly and also in alignment with how much pain can you tolerate. And when we're constantly trying to avoid pain and discomfort, that's how we get like monotonous and complacent and soft and weak and victimy and it's just like you can see it everywhere,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And our spiritual journeys should build our resilience. It should show you the ways in which actually you can overcome's a bad word. I don't want that word, but you know what I mean? Like absolutely. It shows you the ways that we, you know, need to sit in the discomfort. I literally said that to a client this morning. She was talking to me about something happening in her life and I was like, I don't want you to go sit and meditate. I don't want you to go whatever. I want you to sit in the shit that you're feeling right now and actually feel it. Because I'm guilty of it too. I have all the tools, all the modalities, right? And the second I get uncomfortable, I'm like, let me go do some Kundalini. Let me go for a walk. Let me take some plant medicine, try and get this out of my system. But it's like, no, the medicine is actually in the journey. The medicine is in the feeling. It's in the sitting of the shit. That fertile void there's something coming for the fertile void, I feel like, for people, because that to me is the most uncomfortable place to be, but it's the biggest place of transformation that you can find yourself in if you're willing to sit in the shit.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that trying to stay in that stable middle is like you can see it everywhere. It's like why people are on like certain medications. It's why a lot of people don't want to look at the work. It's why people shove everything under the rug. It's why people dissociate through different like substances. And it is like the discomfort of having the hard conversation or leaving the cushy job or disappointing your parents or like whatever it is, right? Like those hard choices are always too much. So then we focus on how can we pour into others to feel valuable, even though we're not being valuable to our soul. And that's the thing is like, it's like that's what they say that the cave that you fear the most holds the richest treasures for you, right? And it's like whatever it is, like especially if you look at your human design and you meant to fuck around and find out, you can't read it in a book, you have to go through it. Like you need to do it, right? And it is like the universe is going to keep bringing you the opportunities to say yes to the work. And if you keep avoiding, it's just going to get harder. You're going to get more anxious, more depressed, more uncomfortable, more out of alignment. And so, like, when people come to me and they say that they're dealing with any of those things, I'm like, okay, cool. That's just an indication that you're out of alignment. So, like, what do we need to do to get into alignment? And they don't like hearing what we're going to have to do. Like,
Nope.
it's not a good sell. It's not an easy sell. It's like, yeah, sit there and feel like 15 years worth of grief that you have been bypassing.
Yep. And that shit, when that shit comes up, I thought I was broken, by the way, when that happened to me. I mean, we'll definitely talk about it because it was with my mushroom experience, but I felt broken. I was like, wow, am I never going to feel good again?
Yeah,
And
but
then you get
imagine
through
as
it.
a child if like an elder had told you, like to move those emotions or to sit with those emotions at a young age, or if like someone had told you like, yeah, hey, when you get off your SSRI, all of that emotion that you haven't been processing is going to hit you like a ton of bricks and you can get through it and you're not an endless pit of grief and it's going to be okay because it's going to lead you back to yourself. Like if someone had just uttered those words to a lot of people, like where would we be, right? And so that's the thing is I just felt super called to say that because
Yes, no, please. It's important.
yeah, I know a lot of people are follow like I did. I followed my intuition and I got off Adderall and birth control and I didn't know why or how. And then it sent me right into a dark night of the soul and I was like, "Oh God, I made a horrible mistake. Like I need to go back and get on anything that a doctor will give me." And I didn't, but yeah, it was like if I had just been told that. I think
But it's possible.
yeah, and I mean, now I know from a very embodied place, I know that it's possible. And I don't know if anyone telling me to get like through it like that I would if it would have made it any better. But yeah, when you do feel like, oh no, I think I did some irreparable damage and I'm never going to be the same again. Like that's a horrible feeling. And it's so interesting to me that in so much psychedelic work, the first thought is, am I going to be like this forever? Like, what did I do? Am I going to ever come back? Like,
Right?
it
It's like you always fucking come back.
yeah, and it's just so funny that like that's the major question that comes up to all different types of people, especially mothers. But anyway, yeah, you can find me. I'm semi-active. About to be way more active on Instagram,
I was like, you were so active on Instagram. What are you talking about?
and I also have a website and a podcast. Oh, I want to celebrate something. I just found out. I think it's a Forumcast. I don't know what it is, but I'm like top. I'm on the list of the top 10 psychedelic podcasts. I don't know what that means, if
That's
anything, but
amazing.
it tickled me to see that. And that's probably because there are only 10. I don't know.
No! Oh my God, no, there's probably hundreds. Yay!
But yeah, I was excited to see that. And so new the next season comes out in October.
Yay! Super soon. So Mushroom Mamacita podcast, website, Instagram. Bijou is more than mushrooms, but they are the base layer, I feel like, that make up Bijou. Mushrooms, blue lotus, cacao, maybe a little bit of pixie dust.
Oh, remember our little necklaces that we made at Wild Roots? Those are all the things that were in mine.
No wonder.
It makes me so happy.
I love it. Which maybe we'll put that onto the ethers. Maybe there'll be another Wild Roots retreat next year.
Oh, there absolutely will be.
But I love you. Thank you so much, Bijou. Thank you for being here. Please like, rate, subscribe, share the podcast if it speaks to you. If you would like to be a guest, there is an application in the show notes where you can find all of my information and Bijou's information. But thanks for being here. Be good to one another. I love you guys.